Hey everyone, welcome back to AFTV and the full-time show. It's just me at the moment, but we will have guests joining us, and more importantly, it's your opportunity to get your videos sent in, get your videos shared with everyone who's tuning into this show, and let us know what you're thinking of that game and that performance. Before we go into the game, some things are more important than football, and that's why I just want to take a second to talk about this bit of news, this tweet from Fabrizio Romano. Very sad. He says that former Arsenal centre-back Pablo Mari got stabbed by a man in a shopping centre close to Milan, as per reports. He's amongst 6 people stabbed, and he's now at the hospital. I will try and get more information on that. I'll go through social media and see what's being said. But, you know, it goes without saying that we wish Pablo Mari all the best. And it's a horrible incident. Really, really horrible incident, and I really don't know much more beyond that tweet. I was coming off the back of watching that game and coming into this show. There's a comment from BB saying Mari is not in serious condition, though. I really hope that's true. I'm sure that information's come from somewhere, but of course I'll have a little look while I'm listening to your videos as well for any more information on that. So just wishing him all the best, of course. Let's talk about the game. The start of these shows, I get to give my thoughts a little bit before we bring your videos in and we bring in the guests and start to break it down. Look, I saw a great tweet. I think Mo, who's been on our Twitter space, has said it. He said it's the third time Arsenal have dropped points this season, and also the third time they've dropped from first to first. I think the context of all that and the point that's being made is not the biggest deal. Look where it's left us because of how well we've started. And I think that's ultimately got to be the overriding feeling, right? We've got to be happy with the way the team has started. We've got to look at the bigger picture, and we've got to ultimately be happy with the direction we're going with. That doesn't mean you ignore trends, and I don't want to ignore trends on this show. I don't want to ignore some of the things we've been seeing. I want to talk about depth. I want to talk about the recent performances, particularly Arsenal's second halves of late. I want to talk about how strong Arteta went for today. Everyone says hindsight's a wonderful thing, and I'm going to say this with a bit of chest. I did not want to go full strength today. I didn't want to, and I feel a little bit vindicated in that, and I'll explain a little bit why in a second. Let's talk. Sorry, some nice messages coming in. Get well soon, Pablo Mari and stuff. So, I appreciate the messages coming through. Prayers for Mari, says PG. Absolutely, keep them coming. Because it's very sad what's happened. Look, so on the game, let's start with the starting lineup. Here's what I would have liked, and I obviously caveat everything by saying that I do not have any clue whatsoever about the fitness of athletes at this level, about how many games they can cope with, about the risk of injuries, the numbers, the data, all that. I don't have a clue. But I've been watching football a long time, as many people have. And I know that a lot of people as well were calling for Arteta to rotate a bit more tonight. And I know a lot of people were wanting us to basically now just focus on the league. Robbie was one of them. Turkish, I think, might have said the same. So I was very surprised he went quite strong as he did. Yes, he rotated, but there are still a lot of players in there that will be getting first team minutes in the Premier League. The likes of Tomiyasu, Ramsdale, Tierney, Saliba, Partey then got a lot of game time today, but okay, he didn't start. Granit Xhaka, Martinelli, Saka ends up playing a lot of minutes. White comes on. Odegaard started. And for me, there's a reason for me why that was too strong, and why ultimately I don't think Arsenal should have really concerned themselves too much with this game. PSV are a good side. I know last week they came to the Emirates and they looked incredibly amateurish. I thought we were very good actually in that game. I thought that was one of our best performances in the last couple of weeks since Liverpool. But while we made them look amateurish, they're a very good side with a certain amount of goals they've scored in the group stage this season. You see that in just the talent and the names they've got. Okay, De Jong, fine, came on, causes problems. This is a player that you normally think of as a threat, but he's at Barcelona for. Is that the same deal? I'm pretty sure it is. Xavi Simons, we've been hearing about this guy and how good this young player can be. We've been hearing about Cody Gakpo, linked to them a lot in the summer. You've got players in there like Sangare who have been linked with moves. So we know they're a good team. We knew they were going to cause us problems. Now let me just ask this very simple question. Were Arsenal... Oh, apparently there's an audio problem. Oh, should be fixed now. Before I go on, just let me know, guys, if everything is okay with the audio. Apologies, and thank you for letting me know, guys. Sorry about that. Let me see. James, I'm disappointed, bro, says Arjun. Solve says Firehand. Okay, thank you. Harry Potter, why did we lose, says Sebastian. I'll try and explain. This is the question I want to ask everyone, okay? If Arteta had put out the full Premier League 11 out, the side that went out against Southampton, hell, let's say Zinchenko was fit and he was chucked in there. You know, let's say we had our perfect 11 out there. We might have played better. I've got no doubt we might have played better. We might have won the game. But do you think the team would have gone out there with the same mentality, intensity, intent to win the game that they do their Premier League games? Well, let me ask you this: how could they possibly, even if consciously they think they are? Think about it and the subconscious for a sec. How can you, when you know a draw's enough to secure your top spot? It's your 4th away game in your last 5 games. You've got Nottingham Forest on the weekend. You kind of know the group's done and dusted. That you know you're through anyway, regardless of whether you're first or second. So my question is, how can Arsenal possibly, really, when we're being completely honest, approach that game with the exact same mentality? Already, there's that sense. I'm not making excuses for them, by the way. I'm not making excuses. Let me land, and you'll see the point I'm trying to make. The point I'm saying is, well, no, I was going to land, then I was going to make a point. What was I going to say? Basically, how could Arsenal, already you go out in the game, and it's like, well, a draw's enough. So do you quite commit to every attack? Do you quite press as high? Do you quite play the way you would normally, because actually a draw's going to do the job? The point I'm trying to make is, I didn't really see many situations which Arsenal came out here, played a complete first 11, but they weren't going to do that, and won the game. You know, I don't think Arteta's going to do this. He was always going to alternate a little bit, which was always going to weaken us a little bit, which ultimately meant that we were going to be on the back foot for most of it. PSV are a good side. I guess what I'm trying to say, and I'm sort of rambling and not really explaining myself well, what I'm trying to say is, I don't think Arsenal, unless they got their mentality right and played their first 11, we're going to go out there and have the exact right standard that they were going to, that they had in previous games and they've had in the Premier League this season largely. And so because of that, I ultimately think he should have rotated the whole team and not even bothered, because I think a tricky result like tonight and a tricky performance was ultimately coming. I basically found a very roundabout way of saying, I don't think, unless we were absolutely 100%, I don't think we were going to win. And a draw might have been all right, but I think we were always going to invite pressure. I've explained myself really terribly. We were horrible, stop making excuses. No. Sayabonga, you're missing a point. I'm not making excuses. I'm actually being critical. I'm actually being critical of the manager. I don't think he should have, personally, I don't think he should have gone as strong, because I just don't think there was a world in which the levels were going to be quite what they needed to be with the kind of little rotations he's going to do. He was always going to alternate. Sorry, Stricto in the building. Welcome, Stricto. He was always going to alternate. Actually, Stricto, do you want to come on? Yeah, let's get Stricto on. He can help me make some sense of this, because I'm not being very clear, and I need a clear mind. Come here, Stricto. Come join me. Right, let's get you in. How you doing?
How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit frustrated. Oh, are we shuffling across this way? Oh, right, I shouldn't have done. Oh, sorry, guys, apologies. So I've decided to bring Stricto in mid-show, and apparently the table's not even ready. Do we have some clips of fans? No, we don't. Well, should we just slide this along? There we go. We're sliding this along to make. Don't you like it when we're getting the set ready mid-show? Isn't that brilliant? Go on, come in, Stricto. How are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, now.
No, I'm frustrated, and I've been talking a load of rubbish trying to explain why I'm frustrated and trying to explain what I mean. What I've been trying to say, Stricto, and I'm sorry for the audience watching, because this is the 4th time I've tried to explain it. I've not really made a lot of sense. Is Arteta was always going to alternate a little bit tonight. Even if he went strong, there was always going to be, say, Lokonga for Partey, or Tomiyasu for White, and Tierney comes in, and maybe Eddie for Jesus. But when those players come in, the level drops quite a bit. No disrespect to them, that's just the truth. You know, Vieira for Odegaard, whatever it might be, Saka not starting. And I actually think PSV are a good side, and the only way we were going to get a win, or if not a very good performance, was if we went fully full strength, and he wasn't going to do that. So I ultimately would have alternated everyone, saved the legs, and come out of it going, cool, whatever, well, we alternated, we'll get the job done against Zurich. Like, I didn't see a world in which we could alternate just a little bit and ultimately get a good performance, because when have we really had a good performance with a little bit of rotating here and there. And I've added the context that ultimately it's been a really good start of the season, so there's no need to overdo it. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel frustrated that so many key players got so many minutes tonight.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we have been playing very well this season. I think the last 3 games has been a concern for me, if I'm being honest with you. Let me get this over here. And just going back to what you're saying, yeah, he was never gonna go full strength today. So what you're saying is what you would rather he just kept it fully second string with a mix, or just.
I would rather. I appreciate because of injuries and stuff, you can't go fully second string, because then you're playing youngsters, your academy players and all that, and then you're dropping them in at the deep end. What I'd have liked him to have done was rested Martinelli and Saka. I think Nelson could have started that game, for example. For sure. I don't think he needed to start Saliba. For sure. Okay, probably Tierney has to play, but could maybe Cedric play? Basically, whichever fullbacks are playing on the weekend, they don't start this one. Yeah. Give Heine a go. Why not? I mean, why do Ramsdale have to play? I mean, I appreciate them. Maybe they don't feel Heine's going to look. I want to be very careful. This is why, while I love doing this show and I love getting fans' reaction, it's straight after a game, and so sometimes you need a little bit of time with your thoughts just to sort of calm them down a little bit. Ultimately, I don't like losing games, but my frustration is we've played a lot of key players. We've lost anyway. I don't really see what we've gained from this tonight, and I sort of a little bit foresaw this coming. I think it'd have to have gone full strength for us to maybe beat them away. It's a tough place to go. They're a good side. They've been scoring goals, and really they could have had more in that second half.
I think I think one thing I must say, we didn't have to lose tonight.
No, a draw would have been enough.
We didn't have to lose, and I think again, I go back to a lot of my fan cams, and if we go back from the Leeds game, talking about fatigue. Even it seems like you touched on, the levels do drop even with the so-called second string team. Yeah. It drops. It seems like not only does it drop in quality, it's dropping in effectiveness. A lot of these guys, for some reason, the fitness levels. I mean, we've only played 11 games this season so far.
Well, in all comps. Sorry, 11 in the league.
Okay, sorry. About 15...
11 or 12 in the league, I can't remember, and about 15, 16 in all comps.
In all comps, right? Yeah. And 17. It's just, there's a bit of tiredness going in. And my thing is, we didn't have to go and win this game today. And I feel like those guys, the starting lineup today, we could have held up for a draw. I mean, PSV are a good side, let's not get it twisted. And maybe there is a false confidence in the way we beat them at the Emirates, and maybe that just kind of led to Arteta's decision making today. But ultimately, like, I do agree with you. I didn't think we needed to see a lot of our main starting 11 at any point.
Yeah, I think what I'm trying to say,
knowing that we don't need to win.
I think what I'm trying to say, which might be a horrible attitude, it might be a really horrible mentality, but I suppose my feeling is, well, we lost anyway, so what's the point? Which is really bad. But it's not a hindsight thing, because I was in the starting 11, I was on Forever Arsenal saying, if we lose this, which there's every chance, with a first team or a second string or whatever, there's a chance we lose. I wouldn't stress about it. I'd have all eyes on Forest. The team looked tired against Southampton. We're top of the league. We're top of the Premier League. Yeah. So why don't we just put our focus on that? Que sera, sera in Eindhoven. Yeah. And then if it goes wrong, get the job done against Zurich. At least that's an easier task to do it. I feel like we've expended a lot of energy. And then if everything were to go to completely wrong, we lose in Eindhoven, cool, that happened. And we lose at home to Zurich somehow. Well, we'll deal with it in January. Like, I'm not saying that the Europa League doesn't matter, but it's not about qualifying. Suddenly we're out of the whole thing. We're talking about extra games, and yes, extra games against tougher opposition that would be very awkward and energy consuming and all that. I understand that, the way we started in the league, I would just like to have seen us prioritise that a little bit more. That's all I'm saying. I would like Arteta to have had a better idea over that. You're getting a call. Maybe that's Mikel himself trying to explain what's...
This is probably a United fan.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, hold on, let me put it on silent. But
no worries.
You see, this whole thing, going to Zurich, right? So we've got Zurich to
at the
Emirates at home to finish top of the group. Now this, messes up our rotation because we've got Chelsea not too long after that. So then it's like, what do we do now? Because play on Thursday, Chelsea on Sunday, full squad, first strong 11 on a Sunday, so on a Thursday, and then a strong 11.
I still wouldn't go strong against Zurich. Despite all that, I still wouldn't.
You wouldn't at all.
No, but I mean not at all. I mean,
how was Mikel looking at this? You've seen Ajax, you've seen Barcelona, you've seen all the European elites drop into this competition now. And how is Mikel looking at it? Like, what is our priority right now? Is it avoiding those guys and playing less games, or is it okay? Let's think about the league playing. How are you looking at it as Mikel?
Well, I mean, we don't know. I mean, clearly, as someone said in the comments, Arteta does not like losing, and he wanted to go out there and get the job done tonight, and that's absolutely fair enough. But I think this leans into a little bit of, he wanted to get the job done, which I appreciate, and then you got Forest at home on Sunday, so he probably thought it was an opportunity to actually go strong twice in a week, and next week we could alternate. And I actually do get that way of thinking, but my mindset is we've more than done the job up to before the ball's kicked today. 4 wins out of 4, beating PSV as well. I thought we'd more than done the job. So whether it's first or second, we'll see what happens. But I just felt we kind of got first all but sealed, unless something drastically goes wrong, which it might now. And by the way, PSV have to win at Bodo Glimt, which isn't the easiest thing to do. And then I would have just prioritised Forest and then prioritised Chelsea, because we're top of the league. Yeah. Like, I think that's what's driving it for me, is that sense of we're in such a good position. Forest at home, Chelsea away, Wolves away are not the worst last 3 games. Yeah, okay, 2 away games, that's a little bit awkward, that's tricky, the bridge is always hard. But Forest are in a really dire situation at the moment. That might change in a couple of weeks. And Forest, Wolves, Forest have just beaten Liverpool, but we know the season they're having. I just felt there's an opportunity then, and now a lot of minutes have gone to key players that I didn't think they could afford to play those minutes. Again, science and data will tell Arteta and the team otherwise, I'm sure, but I just don't think they needed to play those minutes.
I think the positive thing we must take from this at the end of it is then it means, like, what does January mean? What does January look like for the board? What are we doing in January? This just actually even cements the fact that the squad depth is thin, and so far they've done a tremendous job getting us to where we are, top of the Europa table, top of the Premier League. So what do we do now for the rest? Because also you got to remember there's the World Cup as well. So players go off. Anything can happen in the World Cup. Players how players come back from international duty, injured, whatever. So what are we doing now? Like this.
Sure.
We're talking about the team right now. The team has done very well up till now. Any ambition the club wants to show needs to be shown in January, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree. Captain Kid says no comments on Pablo Mari. I addressed it at the very beginning of the stream, so apologies if you missed that, but we have talked about it, and there is actually a quote from Mikel Arteta, which comes from Ryan Taylor Sport on Twitter, on Pablo Mari. Said, I just found out, I know Edu has been in touch with his relatives, he's in hospital, but he seems to be okay. So that is, with what's happened, that's good news in that he seems to be okay. But of course, we wish him a speedy recovery. Okay, look, I've had my moaning about the starting 11 and the minutes that players have got, and ultimately I can see it either way, so it's probably not that important. Let's just very quickly talk about that second half though, and the goals. De Jong came on and just started to cause us all sorts of problems, Stricto. But what is it about this Arsenal team? Why are we seeing a drop? You know, I thought Rob Holding was shocking on that first goal. I don't know what he was doing. He's largely been quite good in the Europa League. Saliba, Holding and Tierney all disastrous on the goal in the first half that was disallowed. I say disastrous. They held their line brilliantly, which is why it was offside, so credit for that. But the defending and the last ditch bit was shocking as well.
Panic.
What happened in that second half? Because even when we went a goal or two down, you think, okay, Arsenal are at least going to stick it on PSV. We couldn't do it. They had more chances.
Don't this remind you of the Leeds game when Bamford came on and he literally just stuck it up against our defence. This is when De Jong came on. It was very, very similar performance from him. You know, he just literally locked up our defence.
Yeah,
you know, link up, and this guy is not even he's not the quickest player. You know, but his IQ, his intelligence was just way too much for us. And again, you know, our second halves is disastrous. We're not defending well, not attacking well, not keeping the ball well. We just almost seems like we're just waiting for the whistle to blow and just get out of there.
Yeah.
It's that kind of mentality. And you know, we have been celebrating these boys this season, right? And now is this familiar feeling is starting to come back. This feeling has been, I ain't seen this feeling for the last 15 games, last 13 games, and now it's starting to come back. That second half was woeful, absolutely woeful. Like you said, we went 2-0 down, and I expected us to go gun ho, and it was just all timid attacks. You know, it was just still, you know, scared to throw that punch in case there's a counter punch. Going back to that Newcastle game again last season, the end of last season, where it was being counter-attacked when we weren't attacking.
Yes, true. You're right. Yeah.
You know, it was almost like that again. You know, and, you know, James. At this point of the season, I'm happy. So it was hard to be critical,
no, of course,
but I'm critical in the sense that this familiar feeling is coming back again.
Yeah.
You know, and when that creeps in, we've seen the mentality of these boys when they fold. And it's way too early for that right now.
Dapo says Arteta gave the B team a chance. The A team couldn't save us. B team couldn't draw. I think it's a combination of comfort at the top and fatigue. Yeah, I think I see what you're saying in that last one. We're clearly trying to pace ourselves through a busy period, but we've got the balance wrong and have lost a lot of sharpness on the ball. Jonathan, that's a fantastic super chat, and it leans into the point I was trying to make horrifically once again. It's this bit here. We're clearly trying to pace ourselves. Don't go to PSV with a full squad and basically all the first teamers get significant minutes if we're ultimately pacing ourselves. Because you're going to lose and you're going to get minutes in the legs of players that really don't need any more minutes. You're going to get travel, match stress, all that, and then come Forest. I'd love nothing more than if we'd lost tonight but we'd rotated the whole team. Maybe one or two have to play, say Odegaard and Tomiyasu, whatever, a couple have to play. But then we go into Sunday and you're going, you know what? It's a brand new team. This is the team that was brilliant in the first half against Southampton, but okay, let it slip. Other than that, had won at Leeds, beaten Liverpool, beaten Spurs, sitting top of the league, and this side's had a whole week off. Yeah. Wouldn't you know? You'd be feeling like they're fresh. Yeah. Now I worry about how leggy they might be going into that game. So that's where my frustration is. I think it was a risk. And I think they got the calculation on that risk wrong. But, you know, you live and you learn. And ultimately, there's so much to be positive about.
I mean, it is a lot to be positive. Second defeat of the season.
Yeah.
You know, we lost to United and we saw what happened straight after that. We picked up, you know, a winning streak straight after that. Hopefully, you know, we can do the same now.
Yeah.
You know. Still top of the table, bro.
Yeah.
Still top of the table. Like, no matter how you try to slice it with the overall squad, somehow the league doesn't lie. We've played the teams we've played, and we're on top.
You know, when people say, don't moaning, stop worrying, blah, blah, blah. This is a tweet from Gunnerblog. Arteta spoke in the press conference about the need for a reset, is the quote. Seems strange after such a good run, but I think it contains a tacit admission that performances have tailed off of late. Now, that's just Gunnerblog's feeling from the James McNicholas at The Athletic. That's just his feeling off what he's got from the press conference and using words like reset. But this is what fans have been tentatively trying to say. yeah, we won against Leeds. The performance wasn't great, but let's not mention it too much because we won. Everyone's happy. Southampton, okay, well, all our rivals dropped points. It was just a point. We didn't lose. So let's let's kind of have that context. Sure, but now we've lost, and now the team definitely looks tired, and that is why I would have rotated more strongly. I keep making that point. I'm sorry, I must sound incredibly boring, but it is now coming from the manager. At least suggestions that maybe that actually the levels dropped slightly. So I think it's about preserving the first team as much as possible and allowing them to go for it in the league. We're through in Europa. We're through. And when say we finish second, say everything goes wrong, we finish second, and we've got to play Barcelona. We might play Barcelona with 2 or 3 new signings in the team. Or El Neni and Smith Rowe back. Like, we could be talking about 4 extra players in the roster to pick from. So this idea that we need to stress loads about this Europa League group stage right now. I'm past it. I'm done with it. I'm focused on the Premier League.
And it goes. I also said as well. I made an analogy that I didn't finish on my fan cam. I'd spoken about Usain Bolt going into a race with Usain Bolt, and you find yourself in front of him, and you can see the finish line, but then you've got this doubt in your mind that you're not supposed to win this race. So you ultimately slow down and let Usain Bolt win. And I feel like it's a similar thing with us. It's like we know we're not supposed to win this race.
What, the Premier League?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, that's City's race. That's Usain Bolt's race. Right? And we can do all that we need to do to win it. But because we're not expected to win it, we kind of do the wrong things, and it's kind of okay because it's not our race to win. It's Usain Bolt's race to win, and I just think that's the wrong mentality. I want the Premier League. We are top of the table. I want the Premier League.
But I'm with you.
You can't settle because you're not supposed to win it. It's what? Okay, the players. So when they go to training every day. And when they finish matches and they see they've won, surely the players' mentality is, hold on, boys, we can't do this. We're doing the right things to do this. But I don't see why we have to, as fans, lower our expectations. It's not like we're sitting in 5th trying to come first. We're sitting first.
That's exactly why I would have prioritised this weekend.
I'm with you, James. 100% I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. City have the Champions League, and I think this really falls into our hands if we really play this right. I don't think City's desire to win the Premier League is as strong as it is to win the Champions League. And if we're there and thereabouts, we could capitalise on that desire to win the Champions League.
Yeah. I hear you. Giuseppe says, welcome back, James. Missed the match, hope we played. Sorry, Giuseppe, I don't know if you missed the end of that super chat. We didn't play well, if that's what you're hoping. Guys, these Mari comments are really not funny. So please just, quite frankly, I'll chat to production now. We'll block anyone or mute anyone who's just posting complete rubbish about Pablo Mari. He has been stabbed. He's in hospital. According to Arteta, they believe he might be okay. So let's just keep an eye on that. We're going to get your thoughts because I've really been rambling and I need to kind of gather my thoughts. Thanks to Stricto, though, who's helped me kind of get some clarity. Hard after a match and performance with that kind of context around it. We'll try to talk about it a little bit more. We're going to get Sharoy in, but let's hear your clips and get your thoughts. Hopefully you can help me make a little bit more sense of it.
What's going on, AFTV? Didi here. I hope you can hear me. I'm just going to say this. We know our situation. We know what we need in January. We know what we're lacking. So I'm just going to say this. If players are saying that they want to be starting in the Premier League and this, that and the other, and they want to be competing for the best trophies, then we just need to be seeing better performances. That's it. Throughout the whole thing, we just need to be seeing better performances. That's actually what I'm going to say, really. It's actually weird being top of both leagues and you're not satisfied. It's mad. It's actually mad. Wow. Yeah, we need to be seeing better performances. It's still in our hands to eliminate these 2 extra games in February. It's still in our hands, so we just have to beat Zurich. But now our focus is not in the Forest, and we have to win that game. So, yeah, come on, you Gunners.
Poor team performance today. You can definitely tell that PSV was up for this match. They had to win this match, and Arsenal not so much. We came into this match pretty much on cruise control, and it's reflective in the performance. Eddie Nketiah, I'm afraid, is not it. Their brother has to go out on loan. Lakanga, not it, has to go out on loan. I understand that with their age, they need to get, first team reps. But given the opportunities they've been given, average to poor performance. Eddie, you got to finish that, Moving forward, we need to address depth. After the World Cup, we need to go out in January and get some depth into this team, because if we intend to compete and get top 4 this season, we need depth.
What up, AFTV? This is Theo from Georgia, Atlanta. Well, I think we kind of set the tone from the very beginning of the first half. We were passive. We weren't aggressive. It felt like we were just too relaxed, thinking that, okay, we could just play the game, get the result, playing, not trying to be as aggressive as we were in our matches. And we were done for it. The signs were there. The first half, they had those 2 goals. Even though they were ruled offside, it was already a sign that things weren't going to go our way. And yeah, second half came, errors from Ramsdale, and they got the second goal also. It's unfortunate we lack the squad depth. Our next game on Sunday against Northampton, we need to be more aggressive. The signs I've been telling from the game from Southampton, and the subsequent games we got, the win against Leeds. We need to find our feedback, if we really want to get top 4 and also get forward in the Europa League. Game lost. Hope we learn from it, and we move on, And shout out to the AFT crew.
Welcome to Full Time Sharoy. I know you're on the watch along for the second half, the worst half. Okay, let's discuss some individual performances. I think Stricto and I really tried to. I don't know how good a job I did of it. not a very good one. Trying to explain why I wasn't happy with the starting 11, the selection, the amount of first teamers used. I feel vindicated. It makes it sound like I've got a good feeling. I don't want to be right about it, but I feel like my gut feeling around how this game might go was correct. But I've got no evidence for why I felt we should do a certain thing. It's just how I felt about the game. Individual performances, though, whatever Arteta put out there, a lot of them weren't up to scratch, especially in that second half. Were there any? I know it sounds like we're being particularly negative, but were there any that actually really concerned you?
The thing is, I've seen a lot of people honing in on Sambi and on Eddie, and I understand why people are doing that, because we expect those that want to play in the first team to really make the manager make a decision.
Yeah.
But I was alluding to this in my fan cam. Was Martinelli as imperious as he usually is? Did Granit Xhaka contribute to our forward play as much as he usually does?
First half, I thought he was one of our better players.
Yeah. And when the big guns came on, did Partey, light up the pitch? Did Jesus create a number of chances? Did Saka have 3 one-on-ones? No. So I think no one was at it. And even if you're looking at the second goal, this isn't our backup keeper. This is our starting keeper, and he should have done better and got a fist to it. So, quite frankly, I can sit here and try and be as clever about this as I want, but we were all pretty crap.
Yeah.
To be blunt.
Yeah, they were. It does feel like the signs were a little bit there in pre-season. Playing against Orlando, what was it, 1-1, I think. Before the big guns come on, and suddenly the level of performance just went up. So there's definitely something in. There's a select group of players who I believe have talent, and I believe can come into the starting 11 and do a job. But when you bring a collective in, even if it's 5 or 6, and you mix the pieces too much in the first team, the level drops, the fluidity drops. Another great tweet by Gunnar Block. Keep reading his tweets, but he said he sees Arsenal at their best having 3 deep-lying playmakers: Partey with White and Zinchenko either side. When you don't have any of those three, we don't play out as well, and that might have been evident today as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think the playmaker point is a compelling one, and that's why sometimes I do understand the confusion when Odegaard does come off. Because I'm not entirely sure why, but he's coming off slightly earlier than other subs as well, and he has done in the last couple of weeks. Maybe it is a fitness thing, but I do get the feeling with him that if you need someone to unlock the defence and sort of get you in behind in transition, then he is that guy, and we do miss something when he's not on there. Look, perspective. Performances haven't been great. This result wasn't great. Southampton wasn't ideal. But if I told you you have to beat Zurich to go through top, you're sat top of the Premier League with Forest coming to you, you would have taken it, and so would I. So I mean, I've seen a lot of this stuff on Twitter about, look, Arsenal getting humbled on a Thursday night in the Europa League, lol. But ultimately, this isn't the end of the world. I think it's just a real sort of fall from grace given how amazing we looked at the start of the season. The concerning thing for me was pre-season, beginning of this season, I felt like I finally knew what Arsenal was going to turn up. I felt like I knew how we were going to play and what our intensity was going to be like from minute one. Now, Bodo, Leeds, PSV, Southampton, PSV, that hasn't been the case in any of those games. There have been spells, and I think in all of those games, aside from today where we didn't score, we only scored one. We were very free flowing. We were getting hitting 2s and 3s and pre-season 4s and 6s. The goal seemed to
4 against Leicester, 2 at Palace, 3 Liverpool, 3 Spurs.
The goal seemed to have dried up. And you can, and we were in fact getting away with conceding the odd 1 or 2 because we were scoring 2 or 3. But when you're not doing that, you concede 1 or 2 and you're out of the game. Perhaps it is exactly the wake-up call that Arteta and the players needed before Forest come to us. But I would have thought that Southampton was that wake-up call where all Leeds, where we didn't take our chances against Southampton and drop points and got punished. But if we beat Forest, get the 3 points there, for me, all will be forgiven.
Everyone that I was sat around at St Mary's when it finished went, all right, 1-1, it's a draw. It happens. Drop points, but we haven't lost. Let's bounce back. But I don't want to see any of those first teamers play. Almost everyone came out with that sense of, please rest them for Eindhoven because we just focus on the league now. What do you think it is with Arteta? Do you think he just wanted to get top spot nailed? Do you think he just wanted to? Do you think he's just very competitive? Do you think he wanted to show that he could go to Eindhoven and PSV at a good side and put on a show? I mean, what do you think drove the need for? And it could be a completely fair reason. But what do you think was a driving reason for going quite as strong as he did tonight?
A couple of things. One, I don't think he wanted a must-win game before we go away to Chelsea. He now has that.
Yeah.
And look, people might say I'm being a bit unforgiving, but for me, Forest is a must-win game now because we dropped points against Southampton.
It's a must perform.
So you're now looking at 2 must-win games back to back before Chelsea, which is far from ideal. 2, I can only illustrate this for the whole team by honing in upon what he said about one player. He was asked in a press conference, I believe 2 weeks ago, about Saka's minutes and why he plays so often. Arteta very quickly responds and says, look at the top players all over Europe, they play pretty much every minute of every game. And when you're looking at people like Messi, when you're looking at people like Kane, when you're looking at whoever, they do play a lot of football, mate, in all comps. So I think he has that mentality with our top players as well. And 3, sadly, I know we talk about wholesale rotation and you can field an entirely different 11, but if we did that today, you risk getting embarrassed. I'm not saying that today wasn't embarrassing. I understand that some people may say that, but given the way that they turned up in the second half, if we quite literally had the kids on, that could have been 4, 5, 6. And what that does for confidence is perhaps a lot more damaging than what this does. The other thing, I know we went relatively strong and we ended with our first team, but Partey only had to play, half an hour? If that, Odegaard came off a little bit early, Jesus didn't have to play a full game, Saka didn't have to play a full game. So White didn't have to play a full game. So there was an element of, look, I'm not going to have to go full pelt with you for 90 minutes, but I am going to have to bring you on. I think with the squad that we have, that is the best that Arteta can do.
I just don't think you can half-arse these games.
Yeah.
I just think if he wanted to go strong tonight and absolutely be sure that he was getting the job done, then put your first 11 out. Go first 11 and get it done.
There's also an element of having to keep your squad happy. Managing a squad and keeping players happy. I mean, if Sambi and Eddie suddenly don't start in this game
Yeah.
They're going to be like, well, when am I going to play, mate? Come
But
on.
in the
They would have
nicest
had
way,
assurances.
in the nicest way, like, oh, boo-hoo. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and I've stuck up for those players, but surely you can, surely they could recognise the situation and sort of go, okay, well, for this one, fine. It's not like they've lit up the tournament in the 4 games before.
But this situation isn't. This wasn't a must-win game. This wasn't. If this was a must-win game and we weren't going to qualify if we didn't win, then maybe they would have understood. But this was a game that they knew we could lose and still go through top. So if he's not showing faith in them there, God only knows what happens in the latter stages of this group stage.
I do know what you mean.
Keeping a dressing room happy is massively important for cohesion, and that's what he makes his money for. He's the manager, people managing. We're Arsenal fans. We want to win every game. We'd love to see us win every game. And when things don't go well, I get it. But it's his job to keep them all happy.
No, but I'm at the risk of people being quite critical of me in the comments for saying this. I want to be very careful I say it. If you offered me a 4-0 defeat in Eindhoven, but then a 4-0 win against Forest on the weekend, I'd have taken it. But I say, well, I just want the wins and the goals in the Premier League. And I know, I say I would have taken it. Listen, we can win both. But the point I'm saying is, I'd have ultimately said, cool, for where our standards have gone and got to now, and the way that we're playing, I'm just happy that we'd have put in an emphatic performance and scored lots of goals in the league game. Because as far as I'm aware, or as far as I feel, the Europa League group it is done because we're through, and now it's just that awkwardness with are we going to get first or not. They need to win at Bodo Glimt, and Bodo Glimt will give it. They'll give it as good as they got. I've got no doubt.
Oh, PSV need to win there. Sorry,
PSV, yeah. And we need to beat Zurich at home, or at least match whatever they do. I just don't. I wouldn't have been focused. I wouldn't have been stressing about that. I really wouldn't have. And then if the stars aligned for PSV and it all went wrong and we finished second, then so be it. You deal with it then. I just really would have been worried about these Premier League games now and getting the points on the board and keeping everyone fresh.
I understand that. Do you think that because we went strong today and we had to bring the big guns on, we have significantly lessened our chances of winning this weekend?
Say that again, sorry.
Do you think because we started relatively strong and then brought on the big guns, we've significantly lessened our chances of winning this weekend? Because I think we've probably got a similar sort of chance of winning this weekend.
That's a great question.
Because if your answer to that is no, then this whole conversation is just moot. You see what I mean? Because then it doesn't really matter how strong you went. Or do you still feel as though we've got just as good a shot of beating Forest as we did before this game?
I don't think we have as good a shot. No. Okay. I think because of the minutes that certain players have played, because of now the kind of mental knock of you've lost a game. It could be a wake up call. It could be brilliant. But the travel, the 4th away game in 5, the defeat and the mental knock of all that, the fact that that's now quite a few back-to-back away performances where we've not been particularly great, now at home to Forest coming, I think that has a little knock-on effect, if I'm honest. I absolutely trust the team to come through it. Harvey says, James, you were singing a different tune in the Spaces a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, Harvey, the job wasn't done then. When we beat PSV, I said, for me it was done. I mean, not mathematically, but again, barring a miracle, I felt it was done, and I stopped being concerned with that. With that tournament. Tima says, James, stop being positive. With this kind of performance, we will lose to Forest. Hopefully, they prove me wrong, though. Tima, I think you get me wrong. I've been actually probably more negative than most people. But Stan Kroenke says, sack Arteta. I definitely wouldn't be doing that, although I'm not sure that's the real Stan Kroenke. Okay. Let's. I want to get into some positives. We still got some other things to talk about around the game. Eddie struggled today, didn't he? But then I see the criticism. Arsenal didn't play well, like in the final third. We didn't create anything. I appreciate his hold-up play was poor, and there was that chance in the second half. I'm not saying he did well by any means, but I also don't think everything around him operated. If there's kind of one position where you need it to operate, it's up front,
Yeah, I think it was against Bodo where we played Odegaard and Vieira, and I thought Eddie was going to get a lot of service. He didn't, and as a result, I didn't really criticise him too much. Whereas today, I'm not saying that he had chance after chance, but we associated him with being that fox in the box, that predator, and he had to add to the rest of his game, the hold-up play and getting involved. Now, when he's come on as a sub, he's held up the ball quite well and been responsible, but today was the finish for the fox in the box. And he'll be, I think that'll keep him up tonight. He will be ruining that, because no matter what he did for the rest of the game, not saying he was setting the world alight, that's what he will be remembered for in this game.
Not taking
that
that
is
chance.
the issue.
I completely agree. Charles Watts with an update says, reports now that one person has died in the stabbing attack that saw Pablo Mari injured in Italy. Dreadful news. Yeah, very sad. We'll keep an eye on that. As Mikel Arteta said when asked about it, Edu had been in touch with Pablo Mari's family and they believe he is okay, but he is in hospital. So again, I'll look out for some updates around that now. Let's get to your videos, then we're going to welcome Laurie to round off the show. But mate, Sharoy, always enjoy chatting to you. And yeah, Rai here says, Sharoy, I love your analysis. Oh, sorry. He goes, well, he does say he loves your analysis.
Okay.
But he says, for the first time, he actually disagrees with you.
Fair enough.
He said, for him, this was a must-win game, so that we could have changed and made rotations for Zurich next week.
Yeah, no, fair enough. And you know what? I love comments where people disagree amicably.
Yeah.
Fair enough. More of it.
I do understand. I get his point. I think I just mentally checked out of the Europa League last week.
This was one of those things I was alluding to with Arteta, though, right?
Yeah.
He may well have seen this as a must-win game because he didn't want Zurich to be a must-win before Chelsea, which is probably what my guy's alluding to.
I think that is what Rye 2596 is saying.
Yeah.
I just Stuart says Arteta's sending a message out to the board. He's clearly showing them that we need more funds to sign more players to improve the depth. I think I just mentally checked out this competition last week. Up until then, Harvey's right in the space. I was saying, get them done. Let's go pretty strong. Let's keep the momentum going. Let's keep this team playing. When I saw the tiredness from Southampton, and it was following Leeds, 2 not great performances, I said, right, we did it. We beat PSV. Once Xhaka rattled the back of the net in that goal against PSV, I went, right, done. I don't care. Que sera, whatever. Premier League now. So that's where my disappointment comes from. It's probably the best way I've articulated it this whole show. We've been live 46 minutes. Alright guys, we're going to get your videos now, end on a positive with Laurie and kind of reflect on ultimately where we are this season, which is in some very good position. So let's get your thoughts in your final videos and chat with Laurie. See you in a sec.
Okay, PSV 2, Arsenal 0. How do I sum up that game? A game to forget. Simple as ABC. A game to forget. Honestly, it was a poor performance. Did have a few chances, but that Nketiah one, he should have bagged. Oh, that Nketiah goal, man, he should have bagged that. But I've been saying this for so long. He's not good enough for the team. If I was to bring in a striker in January, Tony all day long. I haven't Tony all day long. Holding got spun simply for the first goal. Ramsdale had a howler with the mistake for the second goal. But just wasn't good enough, man. And we just had to forget about the result and move on to Nottingham Forest, which won't even be an easy game. But anyways, man, love for the love, man. Peace.
Fan TV, JR here from St. Lucia. I'm smiling because sometimes we as Arsenal fans are so quick to just go down that road of doom and gloom, man. It's not that bad, it's a loss. It happens. What did we think? Did we think after a couple of games we were going to be invincible in all competitions? Come on, man, let's get serious. Away games in Europe are not easy, right? And PSV was the toughest team in our group, so we couldn't expect to just walk all over them, right? Here's my problem. Why do we always beat up on players like Gabriel and Lokonga and we do? Because why? Because they're not Thomas Partey. Gabriel is not Saliba, right? And even Saliba had a few little hiccups tonight. So you know what? Let's accept it what it is. We do need squad depth, right? Let's not beat up on the players because they do have great moments. Today was a loss. It happens. Let's hope that the whole team collectively learns from it, right? So we can move to the next game and do better. It's a 2-game blip. Let's hope that's all it is. And let's hope that we move on to bigger and better things. Come on, you Gunners.
All right, so Arsenal PSV full-time reaction. Joaquin from Boston. Bro, this is super disappointing, to be honest. I thought we had nothing for them in the first half, which is very disappointing. I know we're away and it's difficult to go to these away games, especially midweek, but I feel like we should have done a lot better just to get more chances and to score. To be honest, I saw Mikel Arteta going for it in the last parts of the game, but I think he just kind of mismanaged that game. They looked in the last half when we went for it, and we threw on Saka and Jesus, I mean, everyone looked completely lost. I mean, also, Fabio Vieira, like, I'm sure he has great skill, but I mean, he always looks lost. He's always losing the ball, and this dude needs to get into the gym because, I mean, he's just weak. So that, I thought our midfield, it was almost like we were playing a man down. And I mean, Tomiyasu with the tactics, he looked confused. I really don't know what was going on there. I think just poor overall from everybody, and we need to get back to our regular tactics on the weekend.
Okay, guys, calling in. Well, not calling in. Just a little opinion from South Africa. This result's been a long time coming. I think after the Southampton game, I thought we started seeing a lot more problems than we saw before. I think we started seeing the depth issue, and we need to work a lot more harder in January. We need to get players in January to strengthen the squad and the depth. I think quality up front and catch is not it, man. To be honest, I'm not seeing it anymore. And catch is just not it. And Rambo just needs to be doing better. That's all I have to say. But we need to keep our heads high. We need to sort things out before we get back to the Premier League, because a lot can go wrong in those 5 games.
Feels like welcome, by the way, to the show, Laurie. It feels like the frustration's pretty measured. People are unhappy. No one likes losing games, but also I think everyone understands the wider context of the season. How do you kind of reflect on tonight?
Well, I've got to say, James, we were well beaten. I think PSV had the ball in the net 4 times tonight. A couple of those were ruled out by VAR, which, people like Ty and 1 or 2 other people who are always coming with this narrative about referees always against Arsenal and rare. That was put to rest tonight, I thought. Listen, we were well beaten tonight, I thought. We were second best in pretty much every area of the pitch. But what has disappointed me is, and one of your contributors alluded to it, it's just like blaming individual players, most notably Sambi Lokonga, for the loss tonight. I thought that's poor from some of the fans who are engaging in this. Listen, Sambi Lokonga, and I'm not trying to be condescending, he's playing in this team as a number 6. May I will remind everybody that's watching, and I've Googled it, so I know a number 6 position in soccer is a defensive midfielder and is the most defensive and deep-lying midfielder in a team. So my argument to you guys, what do you want this guy to do? Like, I'm hearing people say, yeah, he's not doing enough, he's not getting forward. Like, come on, bro. Like, he's playing as a number 6, he's playing that position, actually. I'm not saying for 1 minute that he had a great game. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying, look, lay off the guy. You know what I mean?
I'm with you.
He wasn't that bad. He wasn't that good. But he certainly wasn't the reason why we lost tonight 2-0. So people need to stop. I would say, and again, I don't want to offer up excuses. From where I was sitting and watching the game tonight, and I wasn't in the room with you guys, I was watching it by myself, we looked a little tired and jaded tonight. And I would go as far as to say that you have to go back to the Liverpool game on, I think that was early October, when we really looked good. We've won games and we've not looked that good. And I've actually credited the team and the manager for that, saying, look, we weren't at our best, but we managed to pull out a win. Tonight, we were poor and we were beaten.
Yep.
And, football being football, we get a chance to put that right on this weekend. So let's not get too, what I mean.
I've had my say on it. Do you think Arteta should have gone as strong as he did tonight?
Yeah, because he wanted to try and put everything to rest, didn't he?
Yeah.
So
a lot of people agree. I don't personally, but a lot of people agree with you.
I'll tell you why. Because listen, we had an opportunity tonight to. Obviously, it didn't work out. So in hindsight, people are going to say, "Oh, whatever." But listen, we had an opportunity tonight to put this whole Europa League thing to rest. We win tonight, we top the group,
even a draw,
or even a draw. Yeah. So. And I'm trying my hardest not to be disrespectful to Forest, but we're playing Forest at the weekend, man. Come on, that's top versus bottom. We're playing at home. We're supposed to beat Forest. So, yeah, I can understand why he went strong tonight. Didn't quite work out. We were well beaten on the night. But, hey, we're still very much in it. And, of course, we get a chance, as I said, to put things right at the weekend.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I think ultimately... it's worked out quite well. How's it, just trying to have a little look, how's it left? the group. I'm just having a little look now.
I think we've got to go and get something against Zurich.
No, we definitely do. But where's the left Bodo Glimt? Can Bodo Glimt nick? I'm just having a look now. Oh, what's going on? Did they lose? Sorry, what?
I must admit, I was so focused on our game that I didn't really look at the other.
Oh, they lost. They lost in Zurich. Yeah, they lost. So had they won, they'd have been on 7. And if actually, wow, that's a bad result for Bodo Glimt. If Bodo Glimt won tonight and then beaten PSV next week, they'd have matched their 10 points. But because they actually drew out Eindhoven, Bodo Glimt would have nicked second place. So that's a bad result for them. Anyway,
but
they
as
lost,
far as
so
we're
it doesn't
concerned,
matter.
everything is still in our hands, right?
Everything's still in our hands, yeah.
So, it's not the end of the world. And people need to, put things into perspective. It's only our second loss of the season. We lost to Man United, and after that, we're on an 8-game winning streak. So if we beat Forest on Sunday, not too many people are going to be remembering tonight, to be honest, because, like I said, things are still in our own hands as far as the Europa League is concerned. The league has to be our main priority. So if we get back to winning ways by beating Forest on Sunday, which I expect we will, nothing's given, but I expect we will, then, it's a different narrative, isn't it? But I must admit, I was a little disappointed to see a lot of the comments after the match. We didn't play well. So listen, I'm not trying to make excuses. And I did mention tiredness. And again, I don't want to dwell on the tiredness as an excuse. It's just something that it was an observation more than an excuse, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
We just didn't look at it today.
There's just been a few games that we've spoken about tiredness. Whether that's right or not, whether the players should be feeling tired is a different discussion. But it's another time. It's just another day we're talking about tiredness, which is why I thought tonight was a missed opportunity to rest players.
I see where you're coming from. But I think the manager was probably thinking that let's just try and get this one out of the way.
A lot of fans were. Because
I must admit, if I was manager, that's the route I would have gone down.
No, fair enough.
And not only that, while on this winning streak, you want to keep it up as much as you can, can't you?
Yeah, no, it's a fair point. In terms of other individual performances, okay, Lokonga was mentioned. I'm with you. I don't really understand the hate, but I've said my piece on that. Nketiah got some criticism.
Yeah, listen, with Eddie, I know I'm going to sound slightly contradictory now. I'm going to be slightly more critical of him. I'll tell you why. Because the manager put a lot of faith in Eddie. He got his increase in salary. He got his stay at the club, which is what he wanted. The manager's put faith in him. I have to say though, he's got a couple of goals this season. Been in the Europa League. I know he's not started many games, but what I'm looking at is he's not really looking like he's going to score, is he, at the moment? It could be a confidence thing. I don't know, but I've got to say we look pretty toothless up front tonight. And it wasn't just Eddie. Martinelli didn't look that good tonight. Got to say that. He missed a couple of chances. One you would expect him to do better with. Odegaard, for a guy of his talents, and I think he's got 3 goals this season, but he had a very good opportunity tonight that he squandered. So, and we just didn't look like we were going to score tonight at one stage, and so that is disappointing. And obviously Eddie's part of the attack, so I don't want to be hypercritical or overcritical of these guys, but I have to say we look pretty toothless. Whereas you looked at PSV, and it's interesting with PSV because I remember last week when I saw PSV at the Emirates, I thought, wow, they didn't look all that.
Yeah, they looked
a bit passive.
Yeah.
Whereas tonight, in front of their own fans, they're obviously up for it.
They
looked very dynamic, energised, and they had a couple of guys in their team that I was very impressed with. The lad up front, Simons, he looked very good. Gakpo looked good, and of course, Luke De Jong come on and he had a bit of a wordy today, didn't he?
Yeah, he caused us a lot of problems.
Yeah, he scored one and made one and looked dangerous for the whole time he was on. So
yeah, he did really
I guess
well.
What I'm saying is, man, that is football for you, isn't it? What you look at a team last week, they looked fairly ordinary. People were saying, gosh, is that all PSV have got to offer?
Well, I think we should weirdly, I know we're top of the Premier League and top of our group, but weirdly we should probably take a little bit of inspiration from PSV
absolutely.
Because we're talking about a bit of a lull in our last three or four performances, but look how PSV, who weren't good, I don't think they had a good result on the weekend. I can't remember. Let me know in the comments. But But look how they turned up tonight. So you can sometimes just flick the switch like that in football. You can't, I don't know how to explain it, you can't consciously just go, we're going to play well today, we're going to play badly tomorrow, we're going to do whatever we want. But you can also, if you just get in the right mentality, get focused again, dust yourselves off, you can go and get a win. And I think there'd be nothing better than capping off what's been a slightly weird couple weeks with a good win against Forest, 10 wins, a draw and a defeat out of 12 games in the league, Zurich at home, and then you're on to 2 away games. I think that's a nice way to end things off. So the opportunity is absolutely there. Let's just go through these super chats.
As I said, the last time we lost the game was to Man United, and then we went on an 8-game winning streak.
Yeah.
But like I said, James, I've been looking back at some of the performances.
Yeah.
And if I'm being honest, you have to go back to early October when we beat Liverpool to find a performance when we really did play well. So maybe this was coming, is what I'm saying, because in the last few weeks we have not hit those heights.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need a bit of a reset, a reboot.
Those are the words Arteta's apparently just used in the press conference. He said they need a bit of a reset.
Great minds think alike, right?
Well, there you go. Yeah.
No, but I mean, that's what I drew from it. It's not rocket science. It's just how it's ebb and flow in football, isn't it?
Yeah.
Ebb and flow in sport. Momentum is everything.
No, you're right.
Today, it wasn't that good. We were well beaten. PSV, got to take your hat off to them. They were by far the better team, especially in the second half. However, we get an opportunity to bounce back on Sunday in front of our fans, where it'll be a raucous atmosphere, and I expect them to take advantage of that and beat bottom place Forest.
Yeah. Giuseppe says, I agree with James. First team on Sunday, as Forest are very good. Dave Jones says, Kieran Tierney really helped the attack today. PSV's attack. Very good, Dave. Yeah, I think that's it really. Not much more to touch on. I think Dave's trying to suck me into a conversation about, because I've been calling for Tierney to start a left back.
I wouldn't argue with
that. I'd still have Tierney.
I'm surprised he got omitted from that in the first place, if I'm being honest.
I would still have Tierney start on the weekend.
Yeah. Listen, man, Kieran Tierney is an excellent player.
Well, I think he is when he's allowed to stretch the pitch and get forward. I think when he's coming inside, he just naturally looks awkward in that role. It doesn't come to him as naturally as it comes to Zinchenko, who is a midfielder converted left back. Yeah. But
often you will see managers tinker around with formations, with playing players in different positions and so forth. They'll get away with it for a few weeks and they think that they've uncovered this master plan. But at the end of the day, mate, football is a fairly simple game, isn't it? And if you play people in their right positions, normally it tends to work out.
Sometimes it's as simple as that.
It's as simple as that, which is why I had to call people out on Sambi. I mean, I had an argument with Turkish, good-natured argument, because Turkish is my guy, but this number 6 role that Sambi's playing in, people need to stop thinking that he's some playmaker type thing. People saying, what's he done? He's not, like, bro, come on, he's a defensive, deep-lying midfielder. That's what he's basically doing, what it says on the tin.
Sure.
But the fact is, we're not playing that well at the moment, and the fans are homing in on particular players, making them the scapegoat, and I think that's very wrong.
Well, you only got to look at Villa, who went through a terrible run, a run that got Gerrard sacked. And what do? They chuck 2 defensive midfielders in, they move Buendia from the right to the 10 position where he plays, and they score 4 goals. And sometimes just simplifying things. So, look, I love nothing more for Arteta to play Zinchenko if he's fit, but probably Tierney at left back. And just go for it against Forest. Just really go for it. It's at home. It should be a game. I don't think there should be a sustained spell for Forest where we're under the cosh, because I understand that at Leeds and Southampton away games that can happen, but I'd expect us to have control of most of that game. So,
listen, Forest have to be respected. They got a very good win at home, their place.
I'm just setting a standard for us.
Yeah. But come on now, like I said, effectively it's a top versus bottom game. So you would expect the team that's on top of the league to beat the bottom place team, especially when the team that's on top of the league are playing at home in front of their own fans, which likely to be a very good atmosphere. So, it is
Agreed.
what it is.
All right, guys, we're going to leave it there. Thank you, Laurie, for joining me. Really appreciate it. Big thank you to Stricto and Sharoy, who joined as well. The fan cams are coming out. We know that Cecil and Lee are out in Eindhoven as well, interviewing fans. So, hit the thoughts of everyone who was there, and really experienced it in front of their eyes, kind of what the atmosphere was like, how Arsenal performed, and their takes. Because I often find that I have a very different feeling when I'm at the match compared to here. I don't know why. You see the game differently. So I do encourage you guys to go see their fan cams and get their thoughts as well. Let's end just by saying that we wish Pablo Mari all the best. We've seen the news.
I heard that. That was awful, yeah.
But according to Arteta, he's okay, obviously within the grand scheme of things, but he is in hospital. So hopefully we get some news and some more good news in terms of how he's feeling and his recovery and all that. So
and apparently there was one person killed.
Apparently there was one person killed. Apparently 6 were involved in the incident. So deeply sad.
Everyone afflicted.
Yeah, horrible situation. But of course, I keep up on social media. That's probably the best way to sort of keep up with what's going. We wish Pablo Mari all the best from everyone here at AFTV. All right, guys, we'll round it off there. Arsenal lose tonight, but top of the group in the Europa League, top of the Premier League. We created enough of a buffer for some poor results and performances to still leave us in a great position. But when will that wake-up call actually be the wake-up call? It's got to be this one now. So let's hope they respond on Sunday. We'll be covering it all. All right, guys, we'll catch you next time.